Life is, at times, good, comfortable, rewarding. It's that feeling of being full. Things are going in the right direction. At other times, it's somewhat less than ideal. It's more like manageable or controllable, never more than satisfactory. The glass is half full or half empty, depending on how you look at it. Still, there are other times when life can be so dark, so brutal, so completely and totally empty that it seems that the glass has been drained entirely. We are dry and parched, existing in our emptiness, unsure of how to fill ourselves back up. Finally, we lose our hold on life, and we fall. Our lives become broken and shattered, and we feel like nothing can put us back together. Yet, it is here in our brokenness, in our desperation, that we cry out to God. It is here, in our complete and hopeless emptiness, that we discover the fullness that only comes from Jesus Christ.
Hello, this is Pastor Rick. I'm with Bethel Community Church, and I'm for him and for his. We're going to continue our Bethel Community Discipleship Bible study in session 3 of a series entitled Commotions. And today's title and topic that we are looking at is, who are you going to call? Do you remember the movie Ghostbusters? The original came out, I believe, in 1984, believe it or not. And of course, there's been another version of that came out, a follow-up, because that's what they got to do to make more money off of a previously successful movie. And I think it did fairly well in the box office. But in case you don't know what in the world I'm talking about, Ghostbusters was about 3 kind of crazy so-called scientists, who invented a way to capture the supposed energy of paranormal phenomena. In other words, ghosts. Now once again, don't get all upset. This isn't a serious movie. This is a comedy. And these ghosts would tend to wreak havoc like mischievous children in people's lives and just do a lot of damage. So when they show up, who are you going to call? Well, it's going to be Ghostbusters. Our title is inspired by what is probably the most famous phrase from that entire movie series. And it was the tagline of these 3 crazy guys' business when they did commercials, and how the Ghostbusters actually advertised their, shall we say, unique services. See a ghost? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters! All right. Well, when it comes to getting a better handle on our emotions or our feelings, don't worry. I am not going to recommend to you that you call Ghostbusters. That's not going to work, okay? Obviously, the one that you should always call upon when you are struggling with your emotions or needing to manage your emotions or understand your emotions, the one best and perfect one to call is certainly God. And this is always true, okay? This is the preface for the rest of the stuff we're going to say. It is always best to, if you got to talk to somebody about how you're feeling, talk to God. But, isn't it a shame? And isn't it Now, be truthful. Isn't it kind of a tendency for us that all too often Jesus is actually our second choice to talk to instead of our go-to or our default? Often we choose not to go to God first regarding who we're going to talk to. You know, there's never going to be another human confidant for your feelings, or certainly you are not going to be an adequate confidant to deal with your feelings as well. Not even close compared to Jesus. In the Bible, David models what we really should do as a primary practice all the time regarding who we talk to about how we're feeling. And so many times we know so much of David's feelings because he shared them to the Lord. And they are recorded for us wonderfully in the book of Psalms. Many examples. But the bottom line is David mostly confided in God about his feelings. Here's just one example of his honesty in talking to God, which you got to have. He knows how you're feeling anyway. His expression of struggle, once again, be real, and how he felt about all that. And then he always comes back to his expression of trust and faith in God, no matter how he was feeling. Because in the process of venting his feelings to God, he began to experience healing and help in those feelings. So all that to say this, here is my very best recommendation, that before you seek out the counsel or the comfort of another person to vent or share your feelings with, first, take it to Jesus. Psalms 13, 1 through 6. This is an example of what David has done and models for us. He says, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever?" You ever said that? "How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have a sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me." You know, I think it really is true, in spite of what we should do, that one of the responses that we come up with when we are struggling with our feelings and when we are overwhelmed by our feelings, or we perceive that we just need somebody to talk to, is we seek out someone else other than Jesus, another human being to call, if you will. So who you gonna call? Maybe not Ghostbusters, but maybe my neighbor next door, maybe my best friend, maybe, so-and-so or whatever. And there's a part of that that's true because we are social beings. It's how we are wired. We really do, and we're actually built this way, we really do need each other, whether we want to admit it or not. So when you are feeling, let's say, depressed, and there are a multitude of feelings we go through in life, or let's say you're feeling angry, or you're feeling happy, or whenever you are feeling something there that you don't know how to deal with. For those of us who are more of a social mindset, or we're wired to be involved with people and not loners, that need to talk to somebody else is very real. I'm kind of in between, I think, but I do this to an extent, and don't make fun of me, you do too. But, I talk to my wife usually, Roxy, and I have thought about maybe I should have her sign an NDA clause. You know what I mean? I'm not serious, but that's a non-disclosure agreement because I share with her a lot about my feelings. But I do tend to share my feelings with her regarding life in general, okay? Okay, recently, my Bengals, they lost the Super Bowl once again, and they were not able to win the Super Bowl. But I gotta say, this time, there'll be another day. But I had to share my disappointment with her. Here's something I want to do for you today that I hope can help you. I want to share with you some helpful insights that will hopefully help you make your sharing with another human being more productive, or even a better word, more redemptive. So hang with me, that's coming. But I also want to address those who are just the opposite of the type of people who need to share, need to spill their guts, okay? There are some who, man, I don't care what's happening and how I feel, I'm not going to tell anybody else about it. So it might be 50-50 among us. I don't know. Nobody knows. So, that's good if that works for you. And as long as you do not include the Lord among those you're not going to share with about your feelings. So, no matter which type of person you might be, the one who is just needs to talk to somebody, that's just the way you are, or if you are the person that, doesn't like to talk to people, you're more private in keeping your emotions to yourself, I hope to have something that can help each of you. So first, let's take a look at some helpful insights for those of you who tend toward the spilling your guts side of the personality type. Spilling your guts about how you're feeling. You just, man, you could spill your guts to a stranger, I've had that happen, me being the stranger, and somebody I didn't even know, suddenly they were spilling their guts to me. Here's one helpful insight. Remember, talking excessively about negative emotional feelings can very, very easily drift to pure complaining, or in some cases, pure gossip. It's one thing to vent your feelings, but it is entirely a different thing to rant and complain about the situation that has triggered your feelings. On and on and on. Expressing hurt or joy or frustration or grave concern can be helpful in getting things off your chest, but when you do that in a very prolonged manner, it becomes a pattern rather than a therapy. And over again with another person, now you got two. And it can easily evolve into a feeding frenzy session, if you will, to even further fuel your anger or your blame on someone else or something, or your judgment upon another person. And you know what? They're not there with you to even talk about it with you. So, I'm not saying it's bad to talk to somebody else about your feelings, but make sure that's all you're talking about, your feelings. And please pray for me. Help me to with the Lord's help, to have the feelings and express the feelings that I should. I think James 5:9 recognizes this phenomena that can take place when we share and it evolves into something more negative. James 5:9 says, "Do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing at the door." In 1 Corinthians 10:10, something very similar says, "Do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is at the door. Joyce Myers has a way of putting things in an earthly sort of way. When you feel dog tired at night, it may be because you've growled all day long. You got to laugh at that. You know, it's not a bad idea when you are dealing with strong negative emotional feelings that you need to vent to somebody, especially if it involves another person or if it's about someone else. It's not a bad idea to keep your venting session shorter rather than longer, so that it has less chance of evolving into something far more negative than just you releasing some pent-up emotions. Guaranteed, the longer you go, the more likely you will be to drift into complaining and feed your anger even more rather than heal it. Here's another, I hope, valuable insight. Remember, when we seek out somebody to share our feelings with, we tend to seek out those who we know good and well will totally agree with our feelings. And maybe rightly so, but on the other hand, maybe our feelings aren't in sync with God. That is our tendency though, right? But it could be that one that you know will totally be on your side, so to speak, is not the most redemptive or productive person for you to share your feelings with. It can be good for your comfort, but it could be bad for you finding the best and most right path toward healing and management of your feelings. A true friend is a listener who will love you enough to also communicate to you when something stinks. Okay? Have you ever opened the refrigerator and you catch this whiff of some odor, some vile odor and odor? Man, I'm having trouble saying that today. And it just stinks. We would all agree that such is not the best experience in life, and that's something that just doesn't make your day. But I think we would also agree that once we catch a whiff of that stink, we want to unstink it. We want to know where it's coming from. We want to get rid of it. We want to take care of it. We want to unstink it. If you seek out others to share your feelings with, it is best, my friends, that you don't just look for somebody who's going to say, now, it's okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think what you need to do, and this might be your best friend, is seek someone who has both grace and truth. Remember, those are two key features that you should look for in the characteristics of somebody that you share your feelings with. Grace says, I will love you no matter what. Truth says, I will tell you the truth no matter what. Here's what I've learned about what I believe is true, quote, counseling, okay? This is from the book of Rick. It entails listening. It entails empathizing. It entails giving grace and exposing truth. Healing of emotions starts from there. And, depending on the depth of your emotional challenge that you may be dealing with, is it something that comes out of a terrible thing in your past, or is it a relational issue? Is it, some disappointment about circumstances? But depending on the depth of your emotional challenge and how damaging it may be in your life, sometimes professional counseling may be helpful. But it must, in my opinion, at least contain the characteristics I have described. The use of grace and truth. Or, in my opinion, you will never get to the point where healing can really commence. Okay? Here's a third insight if you're going to spill your guts to somebody. I recommend you talk to someone else who is appropriately equipped to understand your feelings. What are you talking about, Pastor? Didn't we just talk about that? No, that's the characteristics of someone you want to talk to. But you can find somebody that has all those characteristics and they may not be appropriate for the particular specific emotional issue you are dealing with. And I can think of many examples in which you might choose to share your feelings with someone totally inappropriate. Certainly, characteristics like maturity and faith, trustworthiness, confidentiality, ability to listen well, discernment, biblical awareness, a person of prayer, closeness to Jesus, and in some cases, but not always all, closeness to you. Certainly those are characteristics you should look for in selecting someone you can share your more significant feelings with. That's best, okay? And if you were to ask the question, who are you going to call? I'd say, yeah, a person that is appropriately equipped to understand your feelings. But a good friend may be a very good friend, but still not have the personal experience or skill or characteristics or knowledge to offer a path toward healing regarding your specific situation. Or they may not even be impartial enough to offer truth as well as grace. You need to know that and understand that need going in. They can provide comfort, but if your feelings need healing, they're going to need more than just comfort. And that friend may not be equipped to lead you further down the healing path. We need to recognize that some of the more extreme and potentially destructive feelings we cannot seem to handle, well, my friends, they may not just be influenced by our heart or even our relationship with God, but they may also be heavily influenced by something physical or something biological going on within us or chemical that's going on inside our physical body and its intricate systems. And sometimes when a physical ailment is there, it can launch and influence all the other emotional problems that we have. So, to put it simply, if you are upset because somebody hurt your feelings, a time of venting to a responsible or mature friend in the Lord may help, but if that same person broke your arm as well, you don't need to go to a friend and talk it over. You need to go to a doctor, right? Then you can talk it over. Do not rule out, and so many do not rule out automatically discussing your emotional struggles regarding especially the more intense, hard to explain, potentially destructive and worsening feelings. Don't automatically rule out discussing it with your doctor, because there may be a physical cause that comes into play. They may recognize it. They may advise some further counsel with somebody who can address the specific needs. I honestly believe as a pastor that there are marriages that have ended, and if you really knew the truth, it simply was because someone refused to acknowledge the possibility of chemical imbalance or something else physically being wrong that was causing all the accompanying emotions. But the root cause was physical, chemical, biological. And a trip to the doctor might have started them down the healing path to where they could get a handle on the emotions that were caused by a physical root cause. Sometimes, you won't hear me say this, so I emphasize sometimes. Sometimes a pill or a physical adjustment or a change in your lifestyle habits that are affecting your emotions might do wonders for your feelings. So that was all about, those 3 recommendations was all about those of you who are more social in your response, in your personality, and sharing your feelings. Now, very quickly, let's take a look at some helpful insights for those of you who lean more toward, keeping how you feel to yourself. Here's just a few quick, but I think significant things to keep in mind if you are like this, and many of us are. Like I said, I'm kind of 50-50, and contrary to the popular opinion, my friends, this isn't just limited to men. Men aren't the only ones that hold their feelings. Okay, I'm just saying. So first, if you're one of those people that hold your feelings in, don't keep your feelings just to yourself. And I mean this in this sense. That's bad if you just keep them to yourself. What you do need to share them with is the one you need to share them with is Jesus. Don't exclude him from the list. Include him in the list of those you will not share your feelings with. You need to do it like David did. We read one psalm as an example. If you just keep your feelings to yourself, you are not going to experience his healing and his guidance. You have shut him out. You have said, I'm not interested. And you are in effect trying to live for him without him. You're trying to live for him on your own because you can handle it. He tells us to share our burdens with him. And so if you don't share it with another fellow human being, do share it with him. I don't care how private you are. You can't be out private him. He knows what you are feeling. Second, consider this. Sometimes our reluctance to share our feelings has nothing to do with our meekness or our need to be private. We just say that. But it really has everything to do with our pride. We're too proud to share with somebody else that we might be struggling. And that is simply being too proud to seek help from another. And it's an easy mistake to make. And what you need to do is ask God to search your heart on this. And ask him to show you if you are just keeping everything to yourself and being mad and about to explode because you're just too doggone proud to admit that you might need help from someone else. Could be the issue more than you being a private person. Here's a third insight for you. You may think you can suppress or push down your feelings so that nobody else even knows there's something wrong. But I'm betting, if I had a farm, I'd bet it, that probably you are not nearly as good at that as you may think you are. Usually when you run across gnarly people and you can't figure out why, there's a reason. And if it's not some physical reason, it could be they're suppressing this anger and they're not going to tell anybody else about it. They're not going to talk it over. But they're gnarly and nobody else knows why. You ever run across people like that? Often what really happens, instead of us hiding our feelings, is your feelings of anger or frustration or fear will still come out and it's usually in some way that you treat others or in your overall mood in general that impacts others. When you hold stuff in and you don't do a good job of venting to the Lord, or you should vent to others, you become very vulnerable to more stress. Because stress, one definition of stress is frustration, unfulfilled need. When you carry everything on your shoulders, once again, he's never asked us to do that. He has invited us to share our burdens with him. And he has given us a community of faith in which some of us may be able to share them with others in a productive way. The rest of the world may have no idea why you are so angry or gnarly or frustrated over seemingly unimportant things, because usually it will come out in something that really isn't that important. But feelings and emotions, my friends, are hard to cap since they are meant to be expressed. So you're kind of going against God's design when you choose to not share your feelings and emotions in a productive way. So you're capping them, but you know what? Pressure builds up because we are spiritual, we are rational, and we are also emotional. We can't cancel that one out. We can try. Here's a fourth insight. If you are not one to share your feelings with another human person, find another method to vent. Vent to your dog in a productive way, or your cat. In a constructive way, find some other means of at least releasing that pressure that you are placing upon yourself, so that there can be a relief valve for that pent-up pressure. Have you ever gone to a football game? I'm sure many of you have. When the game gets to a critical point, when the game's going to be decided by the next play or two, or the next series of downs, or what's happening, what usually happens when you're there, at least this is my experience, everybody that was seated stands. They stand, right? They get out of their comfortable chair. Maybe they had a warm spot there. Maybe they got a drink and something else, a hot dog or something in their hand, but they stand. Why do you think that is? Well, other than other people are standing, so you can't see. But really, I think the reason is it's a relief valve for the emotions they are feeling, for the excitement that they are feeling, for the anticipation, for the uncertainty and what's going to happen type feelings that they are going through. And they cannot actually go down and play on the field. So since they can't do that, you stand and watch what's going to happen next. So consider some other productive ways that can help you if you struggle with sharing with others in a productive way, or if you insist on capping your emotions and dealing with them yourself. You got to have some pressure relief, okay? And I'm not an advocate of hitting a pillow or a punching bag, although I've done that. But here's some other things. Here's one. Cultivate the practice of giving thanks. Of giving thanks to other people. Of giving thanks to God. Because there is something about that relieves the pressure of your pent-up emotions and focuses it on your gratitude to someone else. It helps with your feelings. Here's another one. Get physically active in some way, like exercise, movement, walking, whatever floats your boat. Is it going to fix your feelings? No, but it will give an emotional vent for a period of time. Here's another one, great. Worship God. Really worship Him with your praise. Singing songs, lifting your hands, whatever. Worship God. And we can get caught up in His presence so much that our feelings that are controlling and causing us pain can move toward healing. We are lost in His praise. We are lost in His praise. And here's another one, that because you are the type of person you are, you want to hold your feelings back. This is hard, but it's exactly what you got to do. You got to work on connecting with others about other aspects of living. If you're not going to tell them about your feelings, then go golfing, or go. I don't know what ladies do. Go to a tea or something. I don't know. I'm a guy, right? So whatever it is, go golfing, or go play basketball, or it's painful, or ride a bike with somebody else. Those kinds of things. But whatever, don't isolate. Connect with other people, even if you never connect with them on how you're feeling. Although, as you connect with other people, there is a tendency to feel more free to share and move toward healing that way. So, I don't know if this has helped you or not. This is just based on my experience as a person living and as a pastor as well. And so I hope that my first advice is, you realize, is the best. Talk to him. That's who you should go to. Who you're going to call? God. But we tend to talk to others. Let's not exclude God and replace God by talking to others. And then we tend to hold it into ourselves. Well, once again, let's not include God in the one we're excluding from expressing our emotions to. And instead, let's realize that that's going to make us more vulnerable to stress, and we need a relief from those pent-up emotions. I'm Pastor Rick. I'm with Bethel Community Church. I'm for him and his. If you want to talk about any of this stuff, I am always available. You can call, text, email, whatever, and we can connect. May God bless you.